Cool. Wow. Thanks, everybody. We showed up at like 5:50, and this gentleman was sitting all by himself. And I was a little nervous that we were just going to be talking to an empty room. So thanks for coming, everybody. Yeah, I'm Emma. This is Kyle. We're married, and we run a business together, which is so easy and simple you wouldn't even believe. No, we do have a lot of fun. We started wholesaling together a little over a year ago, and just like a little background about us, we moved to Sandpoint the beginning of 2018. We moved from Colorado as well. And yeah, we just wanted something new, and we chose Sandpoint. Neither of us were into real estate at the time, but when we got here, Kyle actually was trying to convince me that we needed to buy a house. We had just completed Dave Ramsey's course, and I was like, no way, we need like 20% down to buy a house. We had no money. We were both waiting tables. Caitlin and I used to work here at Laughing Dog together. Fast forward, years later, we're on the same page now. We're investing together. So yeah, so we're going to talk a lot about off-market real estate tonight, and we're going to focus primarily on wholesaling real estate. I know there's some people who are interested in that, and if you're not interested in wholesaling real estate, then we're going to talk about how to work with a wholesaler, because they're great people to buy deals from. So, Kyle, anything to add?
No, but thanks for coming to listen to us talk.
Cool. So a lot of people talk about off-market. I remember when I heard this, I was like, what is that? I want to buy houses off-market, but I don't even know what that means, and how the heck do I find them? So what does off-market mean? Also, sorry, I meant to say this at the beginning. Participation is great. Please don't wait till the end to ask questions. If like you want us to go more in detail about something, ask us. Like just
we're kind of talking, this is like very intro level to off-market and wholesaling, but if you have specific questions, we kept it pretty short for open-ended questions if anyone has something like that. So
cool. So what does off-market mean? Most people, or who wants to answer? What does off-market mean? Yeah.
Means not on MLS.
There you go. I love it. So she's an agent, right? Most people use real estate agents, the general public, to buy and sell houses. It's a great way to go because a lot of people don't know what they're doing. So that's cool. I'm an agent. You should use an agent if you don't know what you're doing. But there's a whole nother world of real estate, which is off-market, where you can just go up to anyone. You could knock on your neighbor's door and say, hey, do you want to sell your house? And you do not have to use an agent. It's amazing. So yes, exactly right. Off-market just means that the house is not selling on the MLS. So agents use the MLS. It looks like this. That auto-populates to Zillow, Realtor.com, Redfin, whatever you use for your search engine. Maybe you have an agent sending you listings from the MLS. That's pretty common. When houses sell, we input the data onto the MLS, and that's where we see, the last time they've sold. The one thing about Idaho that you may or may not know is it's a non-disclosure state. I believe there's only like 7 non-disclosure states in the U.S., which who knows what that means?
You don't have to tell the selling price.
Correct. The selling price of a property is not public information.
Nobody's business.
It's nobody's business.
Nobody's darn business.
Yeah, exactly. So you get a sticker for that. There you go. Sticker for you, Property Goat sticker. Thank you for answering.
Did you answer?
Never mind. You get a sticker anyway. Who did answer that, Tyler?
No, Charlton did. Charlton did, Tyler.
You get a sticker too. Yeah, that was for a different reason. Anyway, what was I talking about?
Wholesaling.
Wholesaling.
No,
non-disclosure state, yes. So if you want to know how much a house sold for, you need to either have access to the MLS or ask one of your friendly real estate agents like Tyler and Caitlin. They will probably tell you. So off-market means that you are going directly to the seller to find these houses. So we run a wholesaling business where that is what we do. So why would you want to do that? Why not just go on the MLS? It's easy, right? You can look on Zillow. Well, A, you have less competition. because not a lot of people are looking for off-market houses. B, you can find people who are willing to sell their house at a discount. That means that if their house is worth $400,000, they might be willing to sell it to you for less than that. So you have instant equity when you buy your home. And then the other reason is that you've got a ton of exit strategies available. So if you find an off-market house, but you don't want to buy it, that's okay. You could wholesale it, which we're going to talk about. You could wholesale it, which is a strategy where you actually close on the property. You do very minimal clean out, and then you throw it on the MLS and sell it. You could flip it, which is essentially wholetailing it, but you're actually putting in money. Everyone knows what flipping it is. Wholetailing is like a lazy flip, basically. Or you could keep it. You could buy it yourself. Maybe they're offering seller financing terms to you. Maybe not. Maybe you buy it with a conventional loan, but maybe you still got it at a discount. So the cool thing is when you do find an off-market house, your goal is going to be to find it at a discount, most likely. You don't want to overpay for a house. And then you have a lot of options. So that's what we do. We look for houses off market, and then we basically run our numbers and we choose one of these 4 things and decide what the best option is going to be for us. And
Yeah, right now we're like really in a like capital building, revenue generating phase, and we're just, so most of the deals we're finding, we're wholesaling it. But I think as we get more deals, we might get more into flipping, and once we have excess cash, we'll probably keep some more of these that we find. But right now we just have a couple rentals and we have one flip project that we'll talk about. But for the most part, we're just wholesaling everything.
cool. So what is wholesaling? A lot of people probably know, but if you don't know, that's cool too. Basically, you find a seller who's motivated to sell their house. They most likely want to sell it quickly because whatever, XYZ reasons. You're the wholesaler. You're going to get the property under contract for a certain price. You're going to assign that property to a cash buyer for a higher price than you got it under contract for. And then that difference is your assignment fee. So you make a fee on it that the cash buyer pays to you. Most cash buyers who are buying from wholesalers have no problem paying your fee because when they get the deal, it's still a good deal. Even though they're paying you a fee, which could be $10,000, could be $40,000, they're still going to be getting a deal where they're hopefully going to make some money.
Yep.
Questions? Anyone? No? Okay.
How do you find cash buyers?
We will get to that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah, sorry, there's your sticker.
Yeah. Yeah.
You were like, I don't know why you're giving me this.
Emma, I got a question.
Yeah.
Do you guys use a formula like the 70% rule or 80% rule?
Yeah,
Specific, like,
we use this. So if we're like going to go look at a property today or tomorrow, we are like the general formula, general like rule of thumb. Where we think we can put our offer in is a 70% rule. Does anyone here know what the 70% rule is for flipping houses? Sean knows.
is it where price the aftermarket repair value is a certain amount, get it for not 70%, like 30% less of that, pay 70% of the
You're on the right track.
You're so close. Yeah, you're right. You're like, you're.
100%. I'm kind of like,
So she said you get it like 30% less of the after repair value, also known as the ARV. So you look at comps, you find out like what would this house sell for if it was totally flipped, fixed up, like best house on the block. That's your after repair value. You take 70% of that and then you subtract what you think the repairs are. And that's where like the biggest variable is. Everyone's like, well, I guess the after repair value is sort of subjective because you never know what something's worth until you actually sell it. And then the other thing is, what are those repairs? Because everyone's different. Someone might be a contractor and you do all your own work. Your stuff's going to be a lot cheaper than like mine because I'm not going to do most of the work. I'm going to hire a contractor to do it. So my repair value or repair budget's going to be a little bit higher. So when we're looking at a house, we'd use a 70% rule to kind of get a rough idea, and then we subtract like $10,000, $20,000 for a hopeful assignment fee. and then we bring it to the buyers. Because we want these buyers, our cash buyers, to get a good deal. We want them to make money. That's repeat customers.
Figuring your fee out and trying to sell it at 70% investor.
Yeah, we want the investor to get a 70% minus repairs.
Yeah, so if you get a deal from a wholesaler, if they're a good wholesaler, it should be a good deal, hopefully.
And that's usually like if you're using hard money, but we wholesaled the RV park earlier this year, and it was a seller finance room, so the 70% rule had nothing to do with any of that. Basically, it just needs to be a good deal. Most of these are flip projects, so we're trying to be like, all right, how does this make sense for our flippers? Because that's most of our buyers. But if we can get it at seller finance terms, then we just need to make sure it cash flows, and we can find someone who wants a cash flowing property.
Good question. So people talk a lot about flipping. Like, what is the criteria of something that like could be flipped? Because like people might see a house and they might just not like it, and so then they might want to flip it, but then it's not a good investment just because aesthetically they didn't like it. So like, what's your criteria for a flippable house?
It seems to me that people these days really like white and gray. So if you see a house that is not white and gray,
And then it's
it might be a good candidate.
that's what I wondered. Like, what if it's
That
like
easy.
Yeah, like the ideal flip is like something built in 2005 that has the original cabinets and like builder grade kitchen and bathroom, and you can come in and put like LVP and quartz countertops and like stainless steel appliances, paint it all white and gray, and list it.
To be clear, I'm not advocating for white and gray houses, but people buy them.
Yeah, and then there's some too that like just need huge rehabs, and those are always flippable if it's a good enough deal and the buyer wants to put money into it. And
I would say anything that has not been updated in the last 15 years, probably a good candidate for a flip. Probably the best candidate is something that's about 20 years old that hasn't been updated since it was built, because you know structurally it's probably in great shape. You just need to rip out the cabinets, put in a new kitchen, put in a new bathroom, simple things. We call that a cosmetic flip. Whereas we also find a lot of flips that were maybe built in the 40s or the 30s, and they need a lot more work, where we would call that maybe more of a gut job, where you're going to maybe need to be updating plumbing, electrical, things like that. The cosmetic flips, if you see a cosmetic flip coming across your plate, you might not get it at the 70% rule, because those are so easy. They're lower risk. They cost more. Right? A lot of people want those. Everyone wants the paint and carpet flip, where all they have to do is replace. Everyone tells us, oh, we just want a paint and carpet flip. Yeah, we do too. Like, everyone wants that, where you can just, yeah, exactly.
yeah, you might not get that call.
Yeah, but, you know, around here, a lot of times we find really, really older houses where you are going to need to be doing some bigger rehabs. Maybe you're needing to put a roof in. Maybe you're replacing HVAC. So, yeah, but hopefully that answers your question. Yeah. Cool. So how do you find these properties? Our business is basically like two main sectors. One of those is marketing. Really, if you're marketing, you're gonna get leads. So there's a ton of different ways you can do this. I'm sure people here have seen the flyers, the We Buy Houses for cash. We're those annoying people. Yeah. Sorry, but it works. We send out a lot of direct mail. We know a lot of people who have done all of these other strategies successfully. So cold calling or texting is something people do. Pay-per-click ads, Facebook ads, billboards or bandit signs. Caitlin and Tyler are flipping a house downtown. They've got some signs in their front yard that say We Buy Houses with their phone number on it, because you know the neighbors are watching. They're seeing that they're painting this house and doing all this construction, and they're saying, hey, we want another project after we're done with this one. Radio ads. How many of you have heard Chad Young, the easy home buyer, on the radio?
Yeah.
Yep. I don't know if they work, but he does it.
What's of these methods? What is your biggest return?
Yeah, we only do direct mail.
And referrals.
Oh, hey, sorry.
Our probably our best
Family
dues
and
ever happened
referrals. I
is a referral.
apologize.
We're
Yeah,
gonna talk
family
about
and
that one,
referrals. We'll talk about that. But
we spend like thousands of dollars every month in direct mail, consistent direct mail, and we're targeting distressed properties that we have literally gone down. I've biked every single street from like Bonners Ferry to Silver Valley and tagged every house that looks like it could be flipped. And then we mail those people every month. And then you can pull lists like absentee owners with high equity or someone who's gone through bankruptcy. You're basically trying to find anyone who might be in some sort of distress who'd be willing to sell their house at a discount. Wholesaling is, it's kind of a weird world in the real estate. Like, it fits in a weird world. It's basically the pawn shop of real estate. Like, you're finding people who are willing to trade you equity for ease and convenience. Like, they're not selling their house with a real estate agent because for some reason they need money now. Yeah.
Is there a way to find out of current or recent divorces?
so we have,
That's a niche market.
Yeah.
that is a niche market.
Yes.
Tyler, how?
You be friends with the attorney in town.
I was just about
Yeah.
to say that. We have tried it. It's difficult. I
Yeah.
think you need to buddy up with a divorce attorney.
But we've kind of found like a lot of the niche lists, like bankruptcies or like liens, divorce, which in such small markets that like there might be like one bankruptcy that comes up that month. And so it's like, I mean, yeah, you can mail the guy a letter, but if you're in like Atlanta, you can mail thousands of bankruptcy people that like just hit the bankruptcy list or whatever, however that gets compiled in that state. Mishka?
May I just have a quick cautionary note here? If you're going outside of Idaho, there are about 26 states that have distressed homeowner laws, so you should be really careful about targeting people.
Thank you. Yes.
Washington's one of them.
It's okay here.
It's right here. Talk away.
And we'll talk about this a little bit more later. We really pride ourselves in being ethical wholesalers. There's a lot of people who do things in a very shady way and are really trying to take advantage. Hopefully, you all are not those types of people. We really try to go into it with a helping mindset. I think you'd really be surprised. Some of these folks are really thankful to get the cash quickly because of the situations they're in. And whereas other people might think we're taking advantage, they are just happy to be done with these homes that, I mean, we closed one in Priest River that they had inherited from their dad. That was like basically a tear down. And it was really a bad house. And they were so happy to just get a check and be done with it. And she wanted nothing to do with putting it on the market. So there are some houses that are not good candidates for the market. Yes, we're absolutely not trying to take advantage of people who are in distress.
And a lot of these marketing people that are the leads that come in, Emma's also a licensed agent. So if we think it'd be best if they just listed it, we just
tell
straight
them.
up tell them that.
Yeah,
And
we don't lie to people.
Clear those doesn't have anything to do with what somebody's in.
Understandable. Yes.
It's just
That's a good
laws
point.
are there, and unfortunately, these people who desperately need to sell their house are, restricted as far as.
That's a good point. Yes, absolutely. Larry, were you going to say
I
something?
was gonna say, I guess as far as like when you guys build a relationship with people that maybe they know who need to sell their house, and if you decide, well, geez, the numbers are just not gonna work, you're in a position to basically be their agent, which I think, that's one thing too. It's like, I don't know if you guys know Tammy Mark. She worked for or still works for Home Investment, and she's got this amazing way she talks to senior citizens, and they end up just loving her. So they end up really working with her. And that's one thing I love about the husband and wife team too. Husband and wife team. It really kind of helps build that kind of relationship. So kudos to you guys on that.
yeah, thanks.
you.
Well, yeah, and that's a great point. Like a lot of these appointments we go on, it's not really about the house and the ARV and the numbers. It's about the relationship with the seller and going in, being a human being, sitting on their couch, having a conversation with these people, letting them know, like, yeah, like we flip houses, we work with investors and help them find deals, and this is what we can offer you. And but you just like the last one we did, we were there for like 3 hours talking to this couple, and just like we're just like really getting them to know, like, and trust us and want to work with us. So, and that house was like a hoarder house. That was, yeah, it was a weird house, but we ended up getting it done.
A tried and true list, if you're thinking about, or one thing I was going to say is you do not need to do all of these. Get good at one thing. You don't need to try everything. Like, just pick one and go for it. And that's what a lot of people do. I think direct mail is the most popular. I think it's the most effective. It's also the most expensive. So if you don't have money up front, maybe you try cold calling, where you're cold calling, maybe you have more time. So there's a lot of options.
Okay, let's move it along.
For that. Okay, so the second part of our business is sales, marketing and sales. If you only can do two things, do marketing and sales, your systems could be complete, whatever, they could be not in place. That's not ideal, but as long as you've got marketing and sales, you'll probably make some deals happen. So Kyle kind of just started talking about that. So like our biggest advice for sales is basically don't be a salesman, just be a person. Meet people where they're at, right? Don't be salesy, know your numbers. Follow-up is really, really important. We have people that are in our system who have been in there for years. We just closed a deal last month that I think Kyle got the lead like a year and a half ago.
Yeah, and that was the one we hung out with her for like 3 hours, and she was ready to sell when she first called, and then she basically ghosted me, and I like borderline harassed her with how many times I called her.
That's not
I just called her a lot. She wasn't calling me back, like I was like, I just kept checking in, following up, like no call back, and then it got to the point where I was like, I'm gonna just call her every 3 months. And then the other day we were driving home from Home Depot, and she just called me, and she's like, hey, I'm ready to sell, and we went up there and got it done. So yeah, it's like a ton of follow up.
It's really easy to like send mail every month and only talk and respond to the people who are like actively calling you. But if you forget about all those people that are in your system it's a pipeline, right? It builds, and the longer you go at it, like the more your pipeline builds. So don't forget about those. Like the best piece of advice we got was that your old leads are somebody else's new leads. So if you're not working these old ones, some other wholesaler just sent them their first letter and they're really excited about that person. So you got to get out there and talk to the old people, and then be prepared to hear no. Like a lot of times it is a numbers game. You have to cast a really wide net. You have to talk to a lot of people, and you kind of have to have a thick skin, because a lot of people are going to tell you to F off, and you will get some nasty phone calls.
How was your first deal?
How was our first deal?
How long did it take you from the point where you actually started taking action? And was it more difficult or less difficult than others?
That's a good question. So Caitlin and I actually started wholesaling together years ago on the team. Our first deal I would say was somewhat simple, but at the same time we door knocked, we cold called, and we sent mail all to this person before we got the deal. So we had done 3 different marketing types. Our first deal, Kyle, it was funny. Our first deal was we sent 1 postcard. This was like our first batch together, and they called, and we got the deal like pretty soon after. So like sometimes literally you'll get a call, and like I've signed a contract like the next day, or like this last one, right, where they were in our system for a year and a half. So it's just like, it's so crazy, the unpredictability of people's situations.
So how long is like the period where you have the contracts where you try to find a buyer?
Yeah, so a lot of these people are trying to move quickly. So a lot of wholesalers will be like, oh, we can get this done in like 2 weeks. That's pretty quick to me. I usually tell people we can get it done in 30 days or less. So that's kind of always our goal, is once we get something under contract to close, 30 days or less.
And you can give out clause if you can't walk away.
We do put an inspection contingency in the contract that we let them know about, where, yes, basically if we're not finding a buyer, usually it's because the house was probably in worse condition than we originally thought. And
we try to set expectations with the seller too. Like if we're like, okay, we can take this down ourselves, we can make money on this, we're like, yeah, 2 weeks or whatever, 30 days, like no big deal. But if we're like, it's huge rehab, we're not even sure if we're gonna be able to find a buyer, we don't really like want it, right? Like we'll just be like, we need to like get some partners in here, get our contractors, like we're trying to make it work at this price, but like don't like go buy a new boat yet. You know, so we really try to, that's like with the ethical thing, like we're not trying to like just, you know, leave people high and dry. We try to set expectations there.
Would you recommend postcards over like enveloped letters?
We do both. My response rate with envelope letters is much higher, but they are double the cost. So you just have to keep that in mind. We rotate through, but envelope letters definitely have the highest.
We've also done handwritten letters too. Yeah.
So then with the postcards,
Do you want to go back really quick, Kyle? This is our company, the Property Goat. I think this was like a Canva template that I did. So this was a postcard that I made that we've used. It worked fine. Honestly, the envelope letters, like I said, we have gotten more response. I think that it literally looked like, I mean, someone wrote you a letter and you're like, what is it? Someone told me, they're like, I thought you were sending me a birthday card.
Yeah, it's like this nice orange envelope. It's pretty nice.
But they cost $1 each one of those, whereas the postcards we can get sent for about 60 cents each. Yeah.
What about machine letters that look handwritten?
That's what we use. So we used to, when we were at the very beginning, like Kyle would actually like handwrite letter. Well, we both did, mostly Kyle.
Yeah.
Would handwrite letters. Now we use.
That's how we got the RV park.
Yeah, we wholesaled an RV
letter.
park. That was like a literal handwritten letter. Now we use a service called Open Letter Marketing, where it's like a handwriting font. I think it's obvious it's not handwritten, but
we'll still handwrite every once in a while. Like my friend hit me up and he was like, "Hey, I really want this property, but like I don't really want to call them." So I called them. They didn't answer, and then I wrote him a handwritten letter because it was like very specific property that he wanted, and I think it was going in like pre-foreclosure. So I was like, okay, that's worth a letter. Yeah. Mariska?
Regarding your direct mail, I was fascinated when I heard that you bicycle, from bar to Shoshone. So is that how you actually develop your list, or do you purchase certain lists like people who, own rental property for 50?
That's the majority. Like the last mail we just sent out was about 5,000, and I think like 2,500 or 3,000 is
we
I
call it biking for dollars.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Biking for bucks.
There you
Biking
go.
for bucks. That should be my my
good.
tagline. Yeah.
But we also do pull lists. So like a really good simple list that a lot of people use are absentee owners with high equity. So folks who have rental properties and they have a lot of equity in them are candidates who might want to cash out. So we do both.
Yeah, I'm just impressed about the bicycle.
Yeah, you should see Kyle.
Biking, I will say. You should make a note of it.
Yeah.
No,
it's one of those things that it's probably like if at the very beginning, if we would have just like bought lists or used the software to get lists, our return on investment probably would have been higher. Our cost per deal is now lower, and I love it. So it's like I get to see every street in Bonners Ferry. And then it's like, we just got this lead on Augusta Street, and I love the Masters, and I specifically remember that street because I was like, Augusta Street, that's cool. And then I remember that street, so when I'm like running, like I know Bonners, but I don't know every nook and cranny of it. Now I'm like, okay, that house was in a weird neighborhood. Like even though I don't live there, you can kind of get a feel for stuff when you're running comps and stuff like that. So, yeah.
There's a hills up there.
Yeah. Yeah, and I usually like stop for lunch. Beer, maybe, I don't know. Okay, how do we find a cash buyer? That's a great question. Thank you for asking. Here, this is a great spot to find cash buyers. Who here wants to buy a sweet real estate deal? Yeah, so this is a great spot to find cash buyers, local meetups. There's other meetups in Coeur d'Alene and Spokane, I know. And they don't technically have to have cash. They just need to be able to have a relationship with a private money lender, hard money, or like they don't need to have the 100% cash. You can't get a FHA loan to buy these because they need to close in 30 days. And then the assignment fee for a wholesaler isn't usually lendable. So it needs to be an investment loan, like a hard money loan or something like that.
Online, using sites like PropStream, InvestorLift, or Privy, you can look up cash buyers. I know Privy's actually really cool. It's a paid service. It's probably not very much a month.
$100 a month.
$100 a month. Okay. And it'll show you people who have bought and sold houses in a short amount of time, and they'll show you photos. So like you can tell basically if they're being flipped. And then they'll give you the info, and you can call that person and be like, hey, I noticed you bought and sold this house. Are you looking for more deals? So Kyle runs that side of our business. We call it dispositions, which is once we have a house under contract, we've got to find that cash buyer. So he networks with a ton of people. He takes a lot of people out to lunch. He talks to a lot of people. We've found people on Facebook page. There's investor Facebook pages. And then word of mouth. Like we just tell everyone we know that we invest in real estate. They know that we're buying houses. People have started to know that we're into real estate, and they'll ask us about it. And so you just kind of have to surround yourself with people who are doing what you want to be doing. And that's a good way to find buyers.
Yeah, well, we got one cash buyer because we lost out on a deal to someone else. So then, like once it recorded and stuff, I looked it up and I was like, "Who bought that?" And then he bought our last deal.
Yeah.
So
you just gotta get creative, but like there's a lot of info on the internet. You can really find people's information and get a hold of them and just chat with them and see what they're up to.
But it is funny when you have like this really good deal that you work so hard on. Like you've been talking to this lady for a year and you finally get this deal and you like know the numbers are good, and then you send out this email to 100 people and no one calls you, and you're like, this is a good deal. And then you have to like call these people and be like, did you get the email? Like, did you open the email? And like you have to kind of spoon feed some people that like they just didn't do a ton of work. And like I think us too, because we're just new, so we maybe don't have like the reputation yet of like bringing a bunch of deals to everyone. So
the disposition part of things is as much of sales as acquisitions.
Yeah, if you're trying to get into flipping, like go network with wholesalers and like become their friend. You want to be the first person they call, because like, you know, we have like 5 people that like Tyler and Caitlin are like one of our first phone calls when we get a deal, because we know they're serious and they're our friends, and kind of like a real relationship call with them, not just like some random guy that like I met at a meetup once, you know. So
I just want to say real quick, like we're all, if anybody in this room has a deal, like we can help you find a buyer. Like just bring it to us. We have a huge network of investors, and we're happy to share it with the world. If you have a deal, like we'll find you.
yeah, other wholesalers too. Like you can talk to wholesalers that have a much bigger list, and they can send it out. Tyler and Caitlin sent out one of our deals to the email you guys all signed up for, and we found a cash buyer for a deal in Bonners Ferry. And then we paid Tyler and Caitlin a little referral for that too. So
sounds easy, right? No, here's some of the challenges. Marketing costs a lot of money. Kyle said we spend thousands of dollars a month. So we know some people who are in it now who are very successful, who have spent $30,000 before they got their first deal. So it can be tough at the beginning, but you got to keep going. Like I said, it's a pipeline, right? So at the beginning, it's tough.
Especially if you're not great on the phone. Like I think some of those people maybe had deals, they just didn't even know what to say and they fumbled it. So
Larry?
So in regards to your direct mail, when you get the mail sent back to you, do you actually skip trace them and follow up on them?
If they're return to sender, we do.
Or it's just like can't forward, that sort of thing.
That is something we did this last batch. We probably have like not that many. We probably have like 70 to 100 return to sender leads that we had a virtual assistant for about a month. I did have her skip trace all of them and text everyone, and it was not very successful. I think that's a great idea, because those people are not getting the mail. So
yeah, and that's one of those like kind of extra edges you can get. Like if you, especially in more competitive markets, you can, you know, that's not a lot of people are doing that. So
it's not something we've hammered in, like really gone for, but it's something that has been on our radar.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of time. We don't have W-2 jobs. I'm an agent, but like this is all we do. All we do is real estate. So it's not something that, you know, we casually do for 30 minutes on a Thursday. Like we are on the phone a lot. We're talking to sellers. We're building rapport. Like some people you talk to for hours and hours and hours before you sign anything around.
And you have to just, it's like you're always, like I went on a walk today and had 2 people call me from postcards and spent thousands of dollars to get these calls. So like I can't just blow them off and I have to take them. And, you know, I like it because I want to find deals. But if you don't like being on the phone, you know, it might be something where you would want to partner with someone who is good on the phone or hire that out before you just dump a bunch of money into marketing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you're paying thousands of dollars to get your phone to ring, you better answer your phone. And actually, I heard a stat. I don't know, it was like maybe the Easy Home Buyer who said that if you don't answer that first ring, it's like, I want to say he said like 40% less likely to get a deal. Like we really make it a priority to answer, not miss a call. Like don't call them back in 3 hours. Don't call them back the next day. Like you better answer the phone. Sellers are difficult to deal with. They can be kind of flighty, you know. So that takes time. The houses that we find are usually in very rough condition. That's why I said like a lot of these aren't even really fit for the market. I mean, we've been into houses that is really sad. So you need to be able to like be okay putting yourself in those situations and like really level with these people. And like we said, like just get on their level and just be a human and really just try to help people out that are in really tough positions sometimes. I put title issues on there. Tyler and Caitlin were going to buy a deal from a wholesaler. I think the guy was like in jail or something. And so sometimes like weird title issues come up. I'm going to get your number later because I think that's a great skill. What's that? I think that I was going to say, I think that they were like scared for their safety. So I'm really glad you guys backed out of that one.
We know some wholesalers that carry guns to the appointments.
Yeah.
And like you would think maybe that's something you need to do in North Idaho because a lot of people have guns, but I think these people are like in inner cities where there's like more drug and gang type activity that, you know, I don't think we have to deal with here. Yeah. Haven't had a gun pulled on us yet, so.
We go together to appointments usually. Okay. What else?
Next.
Okay, don't be a shady wholesaler. We touched on this earlier, but be really transparent with all parties. Go in it with a helping mindset. Like I said, remember, like these people are usually really vulnerable. So like, don't take advantage. Just like be a good person. I put it's easy. Watching one YouTube video is not enough. Like get help, call other wholesalers, call us. Like we're happy to help. There's a lot of gurus out there who make it seem like, oh my God, it's so easy. And like, you'll just cash this $30,000 check and you barely have to do anything. That's not true. So just put in a little bit of time and like, yeah, do it right. But it's really simple. Just like be a good person. What else do we have? Cool. If you're like, oh my God, I'm not doing that. Absolutely not. That's fine. You can just buy from wholesalers. You don't need to go find off-market deals yourself. Wholesalers are still bringing really good deals. So how do you buy from a wholesaler? First step. If they send you a deal, you should look at it. Open your email.
Especially if it's a really good deal, because it'll be gone.
Yeah. Wholesale deals typically go pretty quickly. If they don't, maybe it wasn't that good of a deal. So yeah, get on some wholesalers lists, open up the emails from them, and analyze the deal. You know, be honest about your experience. Like Kyle's the one who's doing this position, so he's chatting with the cash buyers. But like, if you haven't bought from a wholesaler before, that's fine. Just tell him, and then we know to like, here's what you need to expect, XYZ.
And we can get you in touch with like a hard money or private money lender, and you know, show you how that process works. It's pretty easy.
Yeah. So that was what I was going to say next, which is like, make sure you've got either cash or hard money ready. So if you want to buy a deal from a wholesaler, I would start talking to hard money lenders now. Don't wait until the deal is in your inbox and you really, really want to buy it. Like, build a relationship. Everything in real estate and other businesses, right? It's all relationship driven. So like, get to know some hard money lenders. Ask them what they're going to require. Are they going to need 20% down? Are they going to need 40% down? You know, what are their terms? How many points are they going to charge you up front? So these are things that you need to know. And that way, when someone does send you a deal, you're like, my guy Bill over here, he's got the money ready. I'm ready to buy this thing. And you're not like scrambling to find the money.
I think a good hard money lender too, like more traditional one, not just like a private guy who has money, but someone who sees a lot of deals, they're going to help you confirm that it is a good deal, because they're not going to lend you money if they fear that you're not going to make money on it, because they want to get their investment back. So
know your rehab costs. If you're planning on flipping, it's important that you have a good, solid idea of how much it's going to cost you to do the rehab. And if you need to bring your contractor to the showing, that's a great idea. Like if you don't have any knowledge on rehab, don't just show up to the showing and be like, oh, I think it's going to cost me 20 grand, get under contract. And then your contractor comes out there and he's like, yeah, it's going to be like 50. And then you're backing out of the contract, because a lot of wholesalers are going to ask you to give earnest money up front. And that earnest money is most likely going to be non-refundable. And usually it's a few $1,000s. So you really got to be confident when you're going into these things.
How are your buyers that can't fully fund? Well, do you have buyers who can't fully fund even the rehab? Or are they usually, like you mentioned, hard money lenders for purchase or private money, but what about the construction costs?
There are hard money lenders who absolutely will fund rehab. But I'm guessing you're going to need to have some down payment. You're going to need to have some skin in the game. They're not just going to be like, oh, here's $150,000 for this $100,000 house. Do with it what you will. Again, it's like relationship building.
if you own like another investment that has equity, you can use that as collateral in lieu of a down payment. So that's kind of a workaround for that.
But it's really about just talking with a lot of hard money lenders, because absolutely there are. And then another option, if you don't have all the funds, we know, and we are currently doing this, we're partnering with a contractor who is doing the work, and we're going to split the profit at the end. So we're not having to come up with the rehab cost up front. We're just splitting the profit on the back end. So there's options. Be really cautious with who you partner with. Make sure that you know them and that you have seen their work and you trust them. Don't just go partner with anybody. But yeah, you can get rehab financed. Yeah.
I could get you a HELOC.
There you go.
There you
Let's
go.
can get you a HELOC. Yeah, lines of credit. I mean, I know people who have done rehabs with 0% interest credit cards and then plan to pay the credit card off after closing. So you can get creative. Make sure you know what you're doing. Cool. So we're just going to talk really.
Oh, did we skip?
I just said be confident when you make your offer. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I said that.
Okay.
We're just going to talk really quick about our current project we're working on. This was a property we got under contract. It's 5 houses. And that mobile home that we showed you.
Yeah, the mobile home earlier is this white.
This is the mobile home that you saw earlier. So this was the land. It was split into these 3 parcels where these 2 are vacant, and then all 5 of the houses were on that one property. And we actually sent it out as a wholesale deal. No one was interested. So we're like, all right, we're going to buy this thing. We bought it for a little bit under its assessed value. We bought it for $350, and we knew that if we could parcel out each of these separately and sell them separately, that we would do pretty well on it. So that's what we've been up to the last 4 or 5 months, is getting the city to approve this plan, which they just approved last week. And thank you.
Thanks.
So these are our new lot lines, and this one, which is a 3-bed, 1-bath plus a garage, just hit the market I don't know, a few days ago.
Yesterday.
You want to click, Kyle?
Oh, yeah.
So this is one of the ones that we just put on the market.
White and gray.
As
Oh,
you
yeah,
can see,
it
it's
is.
white and gray,
Yeah.
what the people want.
Inside and out.
Inside and out, yeah.
It's actually like a gray and blue on that.
So you guys have to get a variance on zoning, or did you know they were going to approve that?
We
So-
did not know they were going to approve it.
We had a good feeling that they would approve something. So if you want to go back really quick, Kyle.
Different options were.
Different options. When we bought it, we thought we were actually going to have to remove the mobile home. The city requires 5,000 square foot lots as a minimum, And in order to meet that, like we were going to have to do really weird shapes. We thought these two were maybe going to have to be together, but like we ran all the scenarios. Even if we didn't sell any of them with a hard money loan, this thing cash flowed really well. So we were like, worst
Which
case
is
scenario.
pretty close to impossible.
With a
in
hard
North
money
Idaho.
loan. Yeah. So we were like, even if we can't sell any of them, we have to keep all of them as rentals. We'll be fine. You know, this was best case scenario. We're like really excited that this got approved because we thought maybe these two would have to be together. So there were a few variances that the city approved. The biggest one that they were like, we're not going to approve is you have to meet this minimum requirement. And actually, if you can see here, this little part jutted out. We actually had the attorney, the city attorney suggested this. There's a creek here that was like an old, basically we vacationed some portion of land that helped add to our square footage.
Creekside House.
Creekside, yeah. So this portion was added to allow this piece to be it's at 5,006 square feet. So it got approved.
So Mullen's really friendly.
You know,
All of the Silver Valley is where we've created most of our net worth. That's where we find most opportunities. Mullen, like they honestly like approved this, and the planning and zoning lady, there's one person, and she was just like tired of us at a certain point, and was like, "Don't even come to the meeting. It's gonna be approved." After like months of like just waiting for this date, she texted us a few days ago.
The previous owner who sold this to us, I think, was so tired of trying to get it approved. He was like running out of money for the rehab. That's why he sold it. So we were working with the survey who had already kind of started the plans, but he couldn't get it all the way through.
But we tried to wholesale this one. We actually presented it here at the meeting one time, and like no one would really like do a deep dive, and we're gonna make a shit ton of money on it, and so we're really excited that we took it down ourselves. But yeah, we pride ourselves on it. If we send you a deal, it's a good deal, you know.
Motivation, lack of funding. Complete the project that you basically completed.
The seller.
So
yeah.
I think he ran out of money.
He didn't say that, but based on the signs and what other contractors said who were working with him, that's what we gathered.
A quick like sales thing that I really like to do on the phone is like, if they're like, oh my God, well, it's going to be such a good deal, just split it up. And then I'll be like, you should just do that. Like, you should do that. And then he's like, well, I don't really have money and blah, 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 blah. Like, that's a good way to get people's motivation to come out. They'll be like, here's why you should buy this. I'm like, you should keep it. Like, sounds like a great deal. And then they'll immediately just be like, but I need the money for XYZ. Like, yeah, I think he ran out of money. Because the rest of the survey was like 6,000, and then all the houses were, you know, we needed to put money into all the houses. I mean, this one was basically like gutted. It needed this one needed the most work. It was probably going to cost him another like 20 grand to finish, I would think. Yeah. So.
But yeah, this one, we got this deal from a referral.
Oh yeah.
So that didn't cost anything. We ended up, so I went to actually Larry Marishka's, what was that? The lady who did the multifamily? What was her name? Jennifer Beatles, yeah. She had like a little nugget of advice in there that was network with your property managers and your real estate agents and always tell them you're buying. And so I like took that to heart, and I'm always telling real estate agents that I'm always looking for deals, and I'll text my property managers or guys I know that do property management like every other month and just be like, I'm always looking. And this guy called me, he's like, yeah, I have a client who's selling 5 houses. And
yeah, so this was our property manager we use in the Silver Valley, and he was like, actually, one of my guys, he wants to sell. Yeah. Just gave us his number.
So just always tell people, if you're looking for deals, just tell everyone. Post it on Facebook or something, I don't know.
Cool. Last little bit, we're hiring. We really need help. I had a virtual assistant for a little bit she didn't work out very well. I would love somebody local. I don't know who's like familiar with DISC assessments. Yeah? Okay, cool. So this is like used in business or like corporate America a lot, right? Which is just like a very simple way of like, okay, what are your strong suits in business, right? So I think D stands for dominant, I stands for influence, S is steady, and I think C is conscientious.
Yeah,
like that?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Like Kyle and I are actually both I's, which if you're getting a business partner, usually you want people who are different We're kind of similar. We really need a high C organizational type person to help us. So we need someone with help with transaction coordination, data pulling, back-end organization, email management. I just put that on there. It would be like 10 to 20 hours a week, hoping to build someone into more of a full-time role. But if you know somebody, probably a younger person, because it's not going to pay super, super well at the beginning, but it could build up to that. Let us know. It's again, someone who's like super detail oriented who can help us be organized.
And hopefully someone's maybe interested in real estate, because we'd love to like help someone kind of like, you know, work into a role that they could be there long term, and we could help them invest in real estate. And
yes,
it definitely could be remote.
In fact, it would be remote unless they want to come to our house every day.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't want her to do that either. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
I think that's it. Yeah, so this is us. If you want to be on our wholesale list, if you're not already, a lot of you already are, text Kyle. He's the guy. Tell him what you're looking for. Email him, whatever. Tell him what you want.
Cards up there too.
We've got cards.
Also, if you just want to know more about wholesaling, I'm happy to tell you anything that I know or we know. We can go to coffee or whatever. And yeah, I'm an open book. So
cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. Sweet.
I think one thing I really picked up from that, and it's something that I don't do enough of, is really it's the lens of follow-up, you know, where you actually keep people in your database for a long time. Because right now people are just like, I think my house is still worth 600,000. It might be worth 500,000 or less, you know. And you know, it's like you keep on your list and say, well, we talked several months ago. Are you willing to talk to me now? And so forth. So great work, guys.
yeah,
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, fortunes in the follow-up, and
sure.
that's has been proven to be true for us. So
I think a lot of the questions tonight we're kind of diving into like, well, how do I flip a house? Because after I work with a wholesaler, after I close the deal, then what do I do? And I think that's kind of another topic. It's another. In one way, we try to do that here is with case studies. So we'll have a case study probably next month, or if not next month, then the month after. But if anybody's got a project that they're doing or has done and want to share, like that's so much fun to learn. Like, because I am the guy that funds my deals with a Wells Fargo credit card, you know, and I never learned that trick until Caitlin's like, hey, let's go get a credit card. But there's all like that's, and the point being like, if you have case studies, come and talk to us so that we can present those and probably learn from each other. So yeah, thanks for being here tonight, guys.
thanks. Yeah.
Stick around if you want
for having
to
us.
talk for a few. Make sure you pay your tab before you go here at Laughing Dog. We're thankful for them hosting us. We will be here, as always, the second Thursday of every month, which is October 10th next month. So hope to see you here, and thanks for being here.